I was in the gym locker room the other day, and there were two women complaining about allergies. It's now springtime. That's my pink shirt. And they were saying, oh, my allergies are terrible. It's just a horrible thing. And one woman, and they're talking very loudly so the whole locker room can hear. And the one lady says, thank Jesus, that's all I have. Now, what's wrong with that? She's just thanking Jesus that that's all she has. Well, it's because it's just the tip of the iceberg of Christianity, especially fundamentalist narcissism. The reason why it's so narcissistic is think about that. You know what they're thinking. You know in their mind that they think they're special and that Jesus is kind of saving them from this stuff. How does she think someone that was sitting in that locker room that overheard that would feel if they were dealing with something like my mom dealt with? My mom died when she was barely 43 of cancer. She was diagnosed when she was 40. What about my sister? I have a sister who was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She never smoked a day in her life. Yet she was diagnosed with this as a stage 4 lung cancer. She's still alive. But how do you think she would feel if she heard that? What about anyone who's sitting there with any kind of serious problem going on in their life? And oh, thank Jesus, I don't have this. Now, do I think that she is full of malice? Do I think that she understands how that might come off? No. I've had small interactions with her, outside of the locker room, and she seems like a pleasant enough person, and she doesn't understand. I don't think a lot of Christians understand the narcissism that it is. It is absolute narcissism to think that Jesus is saving you from these problems that these other people have. I don't think that she meant any harm. It's just the unfortunate bubble that she lives in. She believes that the creator of this whole universe, who's juggling the earth and dealing with everybody's problems, is protecting her. That's what they think. They think that they have this relationship, and that even if they get something like that, Jesus is going to help them out. That's what they do. Not to mention guardian angels. They believe this stuff. So I don't think she probably has the diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. I think a lot of Christians do have narcissistic personality disorder for real, especially people like Kenneth Copeland, the people that are really out there. But I think your average everyday, Christian is just wandering around thinking that they have all this protection, this hedge of protection, and they can take the moral high ground. That's what they can do. They can take the moral high ground because they have this around them. And everyone else that isn't a believer or not like them is just, on this other plane down here. I really believe that's what they think. I know because I did. They've been brainwashed into thinking that they're in the in group and everyone else is in the out group, and they have special knowledge. It goes well beyond this kind of thing. It goes into what they believe about science, who they vote for, how they live their life, because they believe that, of course, they're going to heaven and everyone else is going to hell, and that they have their whole life planned out for them by this supreme being. And they're in the in-group. Of course, that makes you a little narcissistic. You think you're the bomb. You literally think that. You think you have special knowledge that other people don't. They even think they know more about how the universe was formed than Stephen Hawking. Watch this.
God created everything in 6 literal days, and if those days are 6 literal days, and Adam was created on day 6, and then you have all those genealogies, and it's about 2,000 years from Adam through to Abraham, and then 2,000 years from Abraham to Christ, the babe in a manger, and then 2,000 years from that event until now. That means the whole universe, the earth, is only about 6,000 years old. That's why we believe in a young universe and earth, because of what Scripture teaches, and you can't add millions of years into the Bible.
I know not all Christians agree with Ken Ham. When I was a Christian, I really didn't like him very well. But get this. the National Center for Science Education, they read this statement to a survey, a group of people, of Americans, and this was the statement. They asked whether the people agreed or disagreed. So they said, God created the universe, the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, animals, and the first two people within the last 10,000 years. Agree or disagree? Do you want to know how many people agreed with that? It was an astonishing 40%. That blew me away. I thought it would probably be 20%, 25%. 40% of Americans agreed with that statement. Is that not absolutely frightening? Now, just for funsies, let's compare Ken Ham to world-famous physicist Brian Cox.
I don't believe in a God. Right? I mean, what you can say if you're a cosmologist, what you should say is where we know that the universe was very hot and dense 13.8 billion years ago. We don't know how it got hot and dense. We don't even know, actually, if the universe had a beginning in time. Don't know.
Science doesn't rule out the existence of a creator.
No, but in the sense that I just said, that I think we're overstepping the mark. I do not believe there's any evidence for a creator. However, I don't like the antagonism that occurs or is produced by this question. The point is that the correct thing to say is we don't even know whether the universe had a beginning. I don't even know whether it was eternal. Nobody does. So that was the point I was making. I think we're stepping into an area where we don't really need to be.
That's Brian Cox. He's a famous British, he's a physics and astronomer professor, I think at the University of Manchester, and he's kind of all over social media. But do you notice how humble he is? Do you notice that? Do you notice just the difference between him and Ken Ham? Isn't that amazing when you see the difference? This brilliant mind who knows more probably in his little finger than Ken Ham has known over his entire life, and how humble he was. I just like him so much. I love watching his videos. If you don't know who he is, check out Brian Cox. He's really something. But I do want to link Brian Cox's book, The Wonders of the Universe, in my description. And if you buy it through that link, I will make a few pennies. That's one way you can help the channel out. If you're going to buy his book, he really is amazing. If you haven't read anything by Brian Cox, really check out this book. So let's circle back to the beginning of this video, where I talked about this woman at the gym and how she was talking about, thank God, that I don't thank Jesus that I don't have anything worse than allergies. Because isn't this just a common thing? It's not just that, right? It's not just that. How many times have you heard Christians think that Jesus saved them from, getting in a car wreck, or saved them a parking lot, or helped them, just escape some kind of tragedy? I remember I had a pastor, this was in my Methodist church, this was the more liberal church, and he was a bit of a Christian narcissist. Actually, he was a huge Christian narcissist. And I even thought that even though I liked him, I thought that he was. And he told this story about how before he became a pastor, how he was a salesman. He used to sell way back in the 80s when technology was really getting going, how he sold software, computer software, and how he was in Buffalo. And I can't remember, I think his mom may have called him at the airport or something to tell him something, and he ended up missing his flight. And that plane crashed. I can't remember exactly which plane it was, but it was, in the 80s when we had lots of plane crashes. We had several major plane crashes every year, so they're hard to remember, but that plane crashed. Of course, what do you think he thought? He thought that Jesus saved him. And he said that because he was going to go on to greater things and become this amazing pastor that he is. So, what can you say? But I want to show you, because of that, of what my pastor said, I want to show you this next clip.
As I'm walking back toward the RV, I literally hear God tell me to turn around. I just see orange, and then I hear a loud boom.
While the blast knocked him to the ground, he found his footing and sprinted toward his fellow officer.
You could see on the camera, too, the footage. I've seen it. And I told him I didn't think anybody'd ever believe him, how close he was.
They embraced tightly, and in that moment, he couldn't shake the thought echoing in his heart. God had saved his life.
I'm not even going to respond to that. I'm going to let Neil deGrasse Tyson answer that because he does such an amazing job here.
So here's one. Seth MacFarlane.
Okay.
Potty mouth Seth MacFarlane.
That's right.
Who's actually highly scientifically literate.
Okay.
And there's a lot of evidence for that. Mm-hmm. If you've seen Family Guy, there's a lot of science references in it.
Yeah, right.
He's also a fan of Star Trek, and he's had the Star Trek crew as cast members in the cartoon. Also, he was co-executive producer of Cosmos.
Okay, yeah.
It is because of him that we brought it to Fox that got the distribution far greater than anything it would have gotten on PBS. Anyhow, okay, he's out late one night. He lives in Boston at the time. He's out late one night. And he wakes up in the morning, and he might be hungover, I don't know, or he did whatever, and he missed his airplane.
Mm-hmm.
That was the airplane from Boston that flew into the
tower.
Wow. Yes.
Damn.
That morning, he missed his airplane. Everybody asked him, so did you feel closer to God? Did you feel like you were protected? And he says, no, because many a morning I have been hungover and missed the plane.
I was going to say.
Okay.
In that case, my new God would be Jack Daniels. That's my new God. Who do you worship? Johnny Walker Black. I don't know. Saved my life. He saved my life. I'm telling you right now. Turn my life around.
Right. So Seth MacFarlane is a rational, a person who approaches life with rational interpretations of what goes on around him. Right. So, and anyhow, what does that say for everyone else who died? What? Well, God didn't save them. I mean, you're stuck with the moral conundrum.
Okay, I don't think I can even add to that. But my God would not be Johnny Walker or any kind of whiskey. That's too much for me, to be honest with you. I like Kettle One, the grapefruit and rose vodka. I mix that with grape juice. It's so good. That would be my God, I think. Even though I don't drink very much, I don't. But my son likes the Kettle One espresso martini. That one, it's really good. But today I want to toast to my members and my subscribers. I love you so much, so I'm going to toast you because you guys are amazing. If you want to join, go ahead and hit the join button so you can get exclusive first looks at my videos. I send out other little shorts every week to my members, and I just try and connect with you more, and we can talk about stuff that we can't talk about on my regular YouTube channel. So join if you want to. If not, I still love you. I still love you a lot. So here's to you. And that's pretty good, but I don't want to drink anymore while I'm filming. Not only will fundamentalist Christians try and tell their congregation how to live, how to act, they also want to control secular American, right? They want to control us. And I just read recently something that's really scary. Really, really frightening. Let me look at the list of states. It's Michigan, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. They've all introduced legislation in their states to try and bypass the 2015 Supreme Court decision that legalized gay marriage in America. Now, it doesn't surprise me with most of the states. Michigan is surprising. Are you guys surprised to hear Michigan on there? I thought it would be South Carolina. But the other states don't surprise me because they're chock full of evangelical fundamentalist Christians who think that two people that love each other, that want to be married, two adults, law-abiding adults over 18, is going to somehow denigrate their marriage. I don't understand it. Even when I was a Christian, I really didn't understand the whole gay marriage thing. But isn't that scary that they're trying to do this? I guess they really got emboldened by Roe versus Wade. And I'm not going to go into that. That's not what this video is about. But you can see how this stuff it starts rolling downhill. And it's frightening to me. That's narcissism run amok. It is, because we know, us that are in the secular world, we know, we read it day after day, pastor after pastor after pastor after evangelical leader, Catholic priest caught up in sex scandals. Two people that aren't Christians living their life, doing what they want to, somehow denigrates their marriage. But pastor after pastor after pastor being caught in a sex scandal, somehow, they just wring their hands and, we'll forgive him if he just asks for forgiveness. I have a video on that for the biggest scandals of 2025. Go take a look at that, because it's kind of funny in a sad way. It's just narcissism run amok. It just is. And I feel frustrated, because you just feel like you're just screaming out here and nobody's listening. They also have blinders on. They have filters on, where they can't see their own problems in their own Christianity, and they want to try and control everyone else. And that is a problem, and it's really scary. Really, really scary. All right, guys, I have a drink to finish, so I will let you go, and I'll see you next time.